Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/IDOWorkHereLady. We've got 3 great stories today, so I hope you hit the like button, and let's get started. Our first story, I can park here. I work for a company whose offices are located in 3 adjacent residential apartments. We installed 2 doors in between to create one big sprawling office. There isn't much parking because it's a residential area, so employees are allowed to park in the no parking signed area. This keeps our neighbors happy, and we don't use all the available spots, and maintenance can ask us to move if they need into one of the areas. The first 2 apartment doors have signs directing customers. The 3rd door is not marked because it houses the corporate officers that don't deal with customers. I work in that 3rd office. We also have an extremely casual dress code. I'm getting out of my car one morning, collecting my soda, lunch, etc., when I hear a voice behind me saying, "You can't park there." I turn around to see a man leaning against the outside wall, smoking and playing with his phone. I thought maybe he was a third-party vendor waiting for maintenance to unlock the door I was blocking. Me. Is maintenance on its way to let you in? Man, what are you talking about? The sign says no parking. You can't park there. I figured he was a new tenant in the building and continued walking into the building. Me. I'm allowed to park there. It leaves more open spaces for residents. Have a nice day. Man. Steps in front of me. Move your car or you'll be towed. Me. Excuse me? I work here and I'm allowed to park there. Please move out of my way. Man, we'll see about that. He marches through the door ahead of me and starts walking to the offices. I follow him up the hallway but stop at the 3rd door, unlock it, and walk into my office area. After lunch, the general manager came in and grabbed my keys to move my car. That happens all the time, so I didn't give it a second thought. That afternoon, the GM brings the new employee into my office to introduce him to me. I'm the financial controller and HR part of the management team. I stand up and hold my hand out to the man whose face is completely drained of color. He stammers out a "nice to meet you" and hands me all of his new hire paperwork. I ask him to sit down and the GM leaves him with me to get him set up on the systems and explain his privileges, etc. Man, excuse me, I need to step out for a moment to the restroom. Me, pointing at the nearest restroom. There's one right there. Man, I need to step outside, as he runs from the office. The GM comes back into my office and sits down with a big smile. Me. I think he's a little embarrassed. He yelled at me this morning for parking. GM. Yeah, it's a little more than that. He came in an hour before we scheduled him this morning and blustered to the receptionist about you for half an hour before I went out and got him started filling out paperwork just to shut him up. I explained our parking policy to him in orientation and explained our towing procedure. I caught him at the break saying that he wouldn't tolerate illegal parking and he would get this place in line now that he was here. We happened to walk by the parking stickers as we showed him around. Sure enough, he took the bait and swiped one. I called the tow company and warned them he might call, and just to play along, but not to send anyone. As soon as he tagged your car, I moved it to an empty garage. About this time, the guy comes back in looking like he saw a ghost. Man. Ma'am, I don't know how to tell you this, but I had your car towed. I'm so sorry. I'll pay for the charges and go get it right now. GM, what do you mean? Who gave you the number for the towing company? Man, I got it off the parking stickers in the closet. GM, who told you to sticker cars? This isn't even your area. Man, seriously, I thought he was going to melt into the floor. I'm so sorry. I just thought she was lying about working here. She went into an apartment, not the office. She wasn't in dress clothes. I don't know. I thought I could catch the truck before it came, but her car's gone. I was having a hard time keeping a straight face through this and probably looked mad due to the strain of not laughing. GM, well, maybe that will teach you not to assume you know how things should be run. You were running your mouth all day about all the things you're going to change, and you didn't listen when I explained our parking and towing policies. Now, I'm going to go get her car out of the garage I parked it in, and you're going to get set up on the system. Maybe tomorrow you'll come in with a better attitude. He looked relieved and also miserable to be chastised on his first day. I got him all set up, no hard feelings, and even had him laughing by the end. He showed up the next day with a soda from me and a much better attitude. He's damn lucky the GM gave him a second chance instead of firing him before he even started. Some GMs wouldn't be so forgiving. And our second story. No, really, I'm a proper grown-up. This is fairly long, on mobile, so apologies. Let me whisk you back to the early 2000s. Wibble wobbly timey-wimey. 20-year-old Ginger Snap and Brew has a job as a waitress in a tea room. As a waitress, I was required to wear a puffy cream blouse buttoned to the chin and secured by a tea room branded brooch, with a high-waisted black calf-length skirt and white and pink apron with the name of the tea room written across it. Sexy stuff. More importantly, I had to have my hair up with no visible makeup. This made me look fairly young. I went over to a table to take their order, and an angry old man asked me how old I was. I responded that you should never ask a lady her age. Angry old man took umbrage with my answer and said, "Now listen you here, I asked you a question and you will damn well answer me." I didn't want to cause a scene because management were balls, so I said I'm 20, and I tried to return to taking their orders. Before I could so much as mention the specials, angry old man told me not to lie and stated that I clearly wasn't a day over 13 and therefore couldn't be working there, at least not legally. I tried to assure him that I definitely did work there and gestured to my uniform and order pad. AOM's response, "You could have gotten those clothes from anywhere, and you're probably just going to pretend to take our order so you and your school friends can laugh at us for waiting for food that won't arrive." I looked around. Nobody there would classify as school age, so I don't know who he thought would be laughing at him or where we could find such a fetching outfit outside of the tea room. I again assured him that I did work there and asked if I could take their order and get their food and drinks out as quickly as possible. The angry old man stood up, stormed over to the floor manager, and demanded that this child pretending to be waitstaff was removed from the building. Floor manager came over, explained that I did in fact work there and was old enough to be working, being 17 years old. Facepalm. She knew I was in university at the time, so no idea why she said 17. Angry old man almost jumped out of his chair with glee. "She was lying! She said she was 20! I sighed and looked at my manager and said, "I'm 20. Floor manager just said 17. 20. What's the difference? At this point, it was time for my break, so I asked floor manager if she could finish taking the order and went to the break room. I found out on the return from my break that the floor manager offered them complimentary afternoon tea as an apology for the situation. She'd also taken the tips from the tables left to clear in my section. Instead of putting it in my spot, I'd finished serving the customers and they left before I took my break. I was not amused, and I quit the job a few weeks later. And the third story. Not scamming, trying to help you pay your student loans. This takes place 2 years ago, after I graduated from college and had been living on my own for a few months. I've received many calls from bogus businesses trying to swindle money out of the inexperienced college grad that I was. Like many others, I typically ignored the call and blocked the number. Then I started listening to Reddit videos about how clever people would have fun with the scammers, and I decided that I would do that, eagerly awaiting the next call. Then it happened one weekend. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I didn't truly listen to what the person on the phone had to say because I kept interrupting him with stupid questions and asking about what discounts he could give me, all the while struggling not to laugh and expose my little game. This man had the patience of God himself as he put up with my BS, and soon I paused to think up more stuff to annoy him with. The caller cut in and explained how I was 2 months late with my student loan payments. At first I was like, sure I am, with an eye roll, and believed he was just trying to scare me, but then he didn't ask for my card. Instead, he mentioned the bank I'd taken the loan from, and a couple other details that only I knew about. It was in that moment I realized he was the real deal. Now, normally I'm very sweet and polite. This was the first time I ever did something like this, so as you can imagine, my panic and my frantic apologies for my rude behavior as I explained that I thought he was another con artist. Thankfully, he was understanding. He then helped me go into the bank's official website and fix an error I'd made. I'd forgotten to set up automatic payments, so I only sent in one payment of my student loans and thought that another payment was automatically being sent each month. Apparently, this call was actually the third made to notify me of this mistake. I'd been so paranoid of scammers that I nearly defaulted on my student loans. I hope you guys enjoyed the stories. If you aren't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for future videos. If you didn't like my opinions, or if you liked my opinions, please let me know in the comments below what you thought of the stories, and I'll see you soon.